Let's move forward. And now, I would really like to request Mr. Abdul Rahim Nasir, Chairman APTMA, to come on stage and address with us. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. Distinguished guests, members of the textile fraternity, delegates from US, academia, our Honorable US Consul General, Mr. McNeil, Chairman Senate, Sadiq Saab is not here. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to thank Mr. Yusuf Fareed. A special thanks to Yusuf Saab for inviting me here for this talk. I know it's been a long day, but so I'll try to be brief, very basic. So a little history of Pakistan textile industry. We really started growing in 1970s and 1980s when we started converting our cotton, which was our basic cash crop for Pakistan, converting that into yarn and then exporting basically to the Far Eastern countries like Hong Kong, Japan, and also to the Western countries like Europe. But in 1980s and 1990s, we started value addition to the yarn, the cotton yarn that we were converting from cotton. In 1980s, 1990s, we put a lot of weaving capacity in Pakistan, and because the demand for yarn was shrinking and the demand for the fabric was increasing from Europe. This was a time when the quota regime was there. There was quota given to every country. This was a really profitable time for our textile industries, the 80s and the 90s. So we saw mushroom growth in the spinning sector, which was making yarns, and for the weaving sector, which was making the fabric. Late 90s, early 2000s, we saw further value addition from fabrics and yarns to home textiles. We saw lots of bed linen companies come into production. We saw lots of towel factories. We saw lots of garment factories, both woven denim as well as the knitwear factories come into production. So we saw big mushroom growth of these stitching factories pre-2005. But as we approached 2005 and the quota regime finished, we saw that we were not able to compete. We were not able to compete in terms of pricing. A lot of these factories that had just come up, as we said, very high-end Ferraris, as you call in textile machineries, were not able to compete, and a lot of factories started closing down. A couple of reasons major reasons that I think was the reason for these closures in 2005 was that Bangladesh, which was our major competitor, they got the GSP Plus from Europe, and Pakistan didn't. They got GSP Plus because of the least developed nations, LDC. They got LDC nation status in Canada as well, and also to Australia. So except for US, basically they had a big duty advantage for their products going into the Western world, which includes all of Europe, Canada, as well as Australia. But so in an industry which used to work on 4, 5, 7% margins, a differential of 16% vis-a-vis China's, in Bangladesh's products going into Europe was a big blow to Pakistan. The second, I think, which was as important, because as the factories started closing down, people lost interest in the industry. people who stayed in the business, they didn't work on long-term sustainable solutions. They looked from day-to-day solutions to the problems that we had. So from basically 2005 to 2015, the industry really didn't grow at any pace. And on the other side, Bangladesh, which was our main competitor, they grew from nothing to more than $30 billion. Our export in 2000 was about $5 billion. In 2013, we touched $12 billion. On the other hand, Bangladesh touched more than $30 billion in 2015. In 2015, we got the GSP status, GSP plus status. That's where Pakistan and Bangladesh became equal in duty structure for products going into Europe. So in the last 3 years, we've seen rapid growth, and that is both due to the GSP plus status that European Union gave us, and also due to the favorable tech policies with regards to energy policy, with regards to the textile policy that the government has given us. We saw our export grow from $13 billion to $19.5 billion this year. And that's, we know that's the years of COVID when we saw very, very aggressive growth in Pakistan. And we hope that we can touch $26 billion in the next 2 years. We're online. We have imported, added a lot of capacity. There's at least about $5 billion of capacity come into Pakistan in the last 2 years. And that would translate into more than $10 to $15 billion of exports or additional production textiles. And of course, the challenges are going to be there. We discussed all the challenges, but we have to come, we have to come through. We have to really work hard because the next couple of years are going to be really, really tough. Well, the solution, I'm sure we've all discussed the solution, but I'm going to talk about the macro level. The solution for Pakistan's trade deficit, which is the main problem for our economy, lies in textiles. We currently have about $3 billion of yarn and fabric in Pakistan. Only if we can convert this $3 billion of fabric, yarn and fabric, which is semi-finished, unprocessed, undyed, into finished goods, direct to retail, we can add $15 billion to our export. That's only if we can finish whatever is available in Pakistan right now. We're not talking about additional cotton. We're not talking about additional capacity. This is the capacity that's in Pakistan right now, running in Pakistan right now. All we do have to convert this $3 billion of yarn and fabric into finished goods, which includes garments. It could be basic garments. It could be value-added garments, and home textiles and technical textiles. These are the 3 lines that we really have to work on. This is already present in Pakistan. We have all the raw materials available. We have all the resources available. We have all the major technicians, the highly skilled managers in this room. The vision that APTMA gave last year was the vision of to 2025. We gave the textile policy 2025. So in an industry, a textile industry of about $1 trillion or about $900 billion, Pakistan this year exported only $19.5 billion. That's a little over 2% of the total trade. So what do we need? We have all the resources. We have the cotton. Although we know the cotton crop has crashed this year, but we have the area available, and we can do 15 to 20 million bales without any problem as long as we can fix our cotton problems. But especially we have the labor force available. Pakistan has the youngest labor force available in this region. And what does textile needs? Textile needs labor force. They need the management and they need the labor force. So what we did, what was our vision? So the vision was that we need to put up 2,000 stitching factories in Pakistan in the next 2 years. We need about 2 million people for these 2,000 factories, and we have enough labor force who works in agriculture, and the labor can come into the industrialized sector where they learn double the wages that they're currently earning. Women, the stitching factories employ about, of their labor force is 50% is women. So that's a big advantage for our industry, for the women of our country. And the third thing is every factory needs about 100 managers. We need about 200,000 managers to manage these factories. We have about less than 100,000 graduates coming out from universities in Pakistan. So if these 2,000 factories come up, we will be short of managers. What we need is support from the government in continuity of the policies. The government has given a great policy which they call regionally comparative energy policy. They have realized that the country, if we have to compete with likes of Bangladesh and China and Vietnam, we need to be comparative with our competitors. Our energy policy needs to be consistent, and our long-term textile policy needs to be consistent. State Bank has come up with very, very positive policies in COVID. They came up with a program where the factories were given loans free of interest for the labor cost. But what we need in the near future is we need to put money interest-free in the hands of these newly graduated kids who come out of colleges. We need to make them entrepreneurs. We need to put them back in textile. We need to take them out of real estate. We need to take them out of non-productive businesses and put them back in textile, because that's where the solution is. Thank you very much.